Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Stuff, and today I am hanging out, just relaxing to some chill music, and we're going to be painting some models from a game that I've been talking about a lot here on the channel recently, Carnival, so I'm very excited to jump into these. I have some cool stuff we're going to be painting up, as well as my Wudroon in the background for our Conquest League that I might dip into here and there. But otherwise, we're just going to hop right into painting here, so we'll go to the downward cam. And as people pour in, please do not hesitate to ask anything that you'd like. You just chill and hang out. The whole point is to be as zen as possible and just love the hobby that we do. Let me just get my screens all lined up just in case I need to search something, and we are set. All right. Herald of Man, hey Doug, good morning from Williamsburg, Virginia. What's up, buddy? What is up? I'm painting up some Carnival models. Right now I'm doing the Rashar, which is like the Cthulhu-esque cult or whatever that I was talking about. So I have the starter set from San Kenciano, and I'm excited to paint these guys up. They have sort of a witchy magic user. They have a little weakling, who I don't know her rules yet. I have her paper next to me. We'll go through them. A little assassin lady, and this guy's kind of a bruiser, so I like them quite a bit, as well as 4 bases, and I busted out my wood roller, which I haven't touched since I did my Maggotkin of Nurgle forever ago at this point, because I made the mistake of doing this on a full army, and it got to be way too much work. But for a skirmish game, I banged out enough for 3 warbands pretty easily in one session, so that was nice. Let's see, I'm just going to grab some browns here. We're going to start dry brushing these, and then we'll worry about putting the models on them. Yeah, let's go some Steel Leech Abyss. Gorthor Brown, I like that. Carrick Stone, yeah, I think that's good. Chris, good morning from Michigan. Nice, love your Conquest videos, and I'm also building a Wudroon army. That's awesome. Chris or Herald of Manway, are you guys going to Adepticon this year? I would sorely love to know some people that I'm going to meet. I figure Chris from Michigan probably has a higher likelihood than Virginia, but a lot of people travel for these cons, so that is not a fair assumption anymore. Not everyone has my same burgeoning agoraphobia since the pandemic. Who hates flying? I despise flying. Part of it is I'm just a big guy, so it makes everything complicated and annoying and embarrassing. But that's alright. But I know that the Conquest event at Adepticon got cleaned out pretty dang quick, and then they made some kind of mistake on like the sign-up form, so now they accidentally put a 2-day event supposed to happen in 1 day because they didn't fill it out right. But yeah, it's kind of funny. So next year, that's okay. Next year, you have your Wudroon army, and you'll be all set, and so will Parabellum. I am not, although I hope to someday. I've never been. I went, the only thing I've been to is Nova. And that was just one time. I was supposed to go to the Adepticon following that, but that's when the world shut down. Cool, got some wood there. I'm just going to do one quick super highlight. Anyone in the chat, have you been to Adepticon? And if so, what would your advice be for a first-timer? I listened to a bunch of podcasts about it, though, and one of the things that seemed to be a reoccurring suggestion was not to overbook yourself. Like, that the common complaint was people just signed up for too much and then didn't have the capacity to have fun at any of them, which I totally get. I mean, that's like every family going to an amusement park, right? There's no way we can enjoy all this, but we're in so deep we have to. I forced myself. I've decided we are going to love this. Glad to see you getting into Carnival. Yeah, do you play? I am a sucker anymore. I'll share with the channel. I've been kind of drifting away from mass army games like AOS, just because there's so much I guess burden of knowledge that you have to be able to play these things or speak about them intelligently. Quite frankly, even from a lore wise, there's just so much going on. So many releases, I got exhausted. But the reason I love skirmish games is because they're tight, they're focused, and you could put a lot of work into just a few guys, and man, it looks cool. Also, I can take everything I need to Adepticon in a box like this big. I'm going to try to go to Gen Con this year. Maybe try to impulsively go to Uncle Adam's Tabletop Minions Expo. I didn't know he had a expo. Tell me about that, please, 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 please. Because I think he's not local to me, but he's in the Midwest, I think. Which, so am I. I'm on the east side of Iowa. So please tell me everything. Akita Squid, I know you. What's up, buddy? I do still have your box of trolls. I'm terribly sorry. It's been a rather stressful week. But we're moving on. Upwards and onwards. So I think, let's see. I really want to start with my Cthulhu guy. Also because he's going to have like the whitest skin and I want to start building those layers up. So we'll start there since it'll probably take the longest. I do play the Rashar. They have such a cool line of models, though I haven't won any games with them. That's okay. I've been playing Marvel Crisis Protocol for a year with my buddy Jeremy, and I have yet to win a single game. And then one time he was so nice, he was like, I want to play this narrative mission so that we can play cooperatively. And then we both lost. I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. This is what I bring to the team. I've been to Adepticon a few times. That advice about not overbooking yourself is good. Nice. Hey from UK. Hey from Scotland. Nice. What's up, y'all? Let me ask you guys this. Is this a reasonable time in your neck of the woods? And that question goes to everybody. Because I've been kind of looking for a good consistent time that, the wargaming community, of course, is split between every continent. So it's a bit difficult to find a single time, but, weekends, midday, I think that it's pretty. This guy actually might need to be glued down to a base before I can aggressively paint him because his feet are so tiny, the points of contact are so small. I at least want to get them done before I put him on anything. But it makes him hard to get him to stand. Let's see. I've been to Adepticon a few times. Was it Ultron? I've lost that one more than once. One time it was Ultron, and then the other one was the Red Skull tank mission. But that's because the way that they play it on their demo video and the way that the rules are actually printed in the actual thing are different. And yeah, that one I feel less bad for because that was an Asmodee oopsie. Basically, it comes down to when they played it online and we saw what we were expecting versus what's written is the tank gets an extra movement, and every time he touches a piece of terrain he gets victory points. And so he was able to just rack them up aggressively, and thankfully the guy playing it was a really cool narrative dude, and so he, we all kind of stood there and were like, okay, well, this is where the good guys would lose. But yeah, it was kind of funny. And then he chose to do stupid stuff just to keep the game going, which I was very in for. Just turning left instead of right to avoid victory points so that we could actually fight the tank and have fun. I've heard about that tank mission. Yeah, So like I had no idea about it. I just showed up because two of my local friends were playing it. It sounded cool, so I showed up and immediately all of us were like, that seems real good. Suspiciously good. Not like we think the dude's lying to us good, but real good. Like we all sat there like trying to reread it, and like and then when somebody pulled up the YouTube video and we're like all trying to study it and like, what the hell? It was a good time. It was a good time like bonding over like how crazy and egregious it was. Weekends around this time are good for people in the UK. Sweet! I'm in Kazakhstan and it is... Oh, yeah. Well, hey. What's up? It's about 3:49. Sweet. That's awesome. Okay. Let's see. Been rewatching all your death videos in prep for our new books. Been playing with Bone Reapers since your first video. Completely in love with them. Absolutely coolest faction in the game. I think the Bone Reapers are awesome. Love, love, love the Bone Reapers. They just have such a presence. I think it's this guy in particular, but I'll try painting these other ones to see. They don't seem nearly as bowed because their feet have these really great contact points, whereas this guy, because he has like 3 chicken leg, things, not so much. So he's gonna go off to the side and dry for a bit. Everybody else, let's keep rolling. Good time, that's all that matters. Absolutely, especially with those narrative missions. We also played one where it's the more recent one where the villain, quote unquote, the AI, or if you have somebody play him, is Spider-Man. And so thematically we did all the Spider-Man villains and it looked amazing, and I have put pictures of it online and people loved it. But for the life of us, we could not orchestrate a way for Spider-Man to win. We just, that scene in like Avengers when Hulk smashes Loki back and forth? That was like Rhino and Venom, Carnage, all those guys. They even gave Spider-Man a new profile for that, and we just tore it to shreds. That was super fun. I don't think Spider-Man got a single point that game. But I tell you, I am going to start covering Marvel here on the channel, and I'm going to do it with Asgard. I'm going to grab the Asgard affiliate box, because I think one thing that game sorely lacks at this moment is multiple entry points, and I think they know that too. But I love the affiliate boxes. Oh, that's the wrong one. And I want to show how they can be used to build, a functioning list and that kind of thing. Too much. Don't you hate it when there's just like a little remnant of water on your brush and then it pools or whatever and runs down when you put the paint on, and then all of a sudden your model's like, bleep. Let's see. Just the Parker look. Exactly, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, no, it was not a good day to be Peter Parker. But I'll tell you, my MVP every single game, Kraven the Hunter. I got him because I wanted a man who was brave enough to wear leopard print, and he has never disappointed me. I think this is barefoot. I can't quite tell, to be honest. can't tell if it's a bandage because there's not a ton of other skin areas around him. Okay. Oh yeah, it's solid. Oh yeah, he's the best. Yeah, right now I help a whole bunch of criminal syndicate. And I guess I could they have a lot of bleed over with Cabal and other criminal things and Spidey foes, so I kind of hover between all of those. Lately I've been doing criminal syndicate. Last game I did was yesterday with Daredevil, and it came exceptionally close. Like, I've never won a game of Marvel Crisis Protocol. Let me just throw that out there before anyone thinks that I'm some kind of authority. But it ended up being real stinking close, and closest I've been, and really. And it's one of those games where, like, you're kind of walking through all the different options with your opponent, and you're like, man, I can see a way that we can just make the game close in other directions, but it's always going to be close. And those are the best games, right, where it comes down to just a few dice rolls and that kind of thing. Jonathan Rice, what's up, buddy? Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging. Just throwing on my little base layers here. I really dislike doing skin. This is why I generally do contrast anymore, but I wanted my Carnival miniatures to be a little bit special just because there's like only a small handful of them. Oh yeah, she's all buttoned up tight, so not a whole lot of skin there. Okay, cool. That's it for me. What are you guys working on? I'm curious. Would love to hear what everyone else has. Yeah, I'm kind of oscillating between Carnival and Conquest right now. I'd also like to do a lot more with Horus Heresy in the coming year. But we'll see. That's one a couple days ago, it was just a couple days, I had my buddy Ned on from Ineptus Astartes for a live stream, and I don't know, something about that really just reinvigorated my Hobbit juices for Heresy. I was kind of burned out after a little while. I mean, I kind of moved away from GW stuff just for a little break, but it was one that I was like, oh, you know what? This is kind of nice. Horus Heresy is nice because I'm not drowning in releases. There's something cool about that. Let's see. Painting Beta Ray Bill for my Guardians, Jonah Baga. That's awesome. Like I said earlier, I'm going to be doing Asgard for my my Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff that I do on the channel, and I adore that dude. Like, the model just looks hilarious. I don't know a single thing about him, like from the comics or whatever, but I was like, "What's this?" An Asgardian BoJack Horseman? Sign me up. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. Let's see, cranking out those Annihilators for my 8K Stormcast is clearly reasonable. I hope we can get an Apocalypse game mode. You know, they did have that in an older General's Handbook. We actually played it on Rerolling Ones. It's on there somewhere. Basically, you have the unit act as a single model, but everyone has so like instead of going model by model with the attacks, it's like, oh, these Stormcasters, 8 of them left, cool. Like, then they get whatever their attack profile is, times 8. Just roll the dice. Like, it's kind of nice. Takes a break from all the junk. But that was also before things like, well, it was 2nd edition, I believe, so it wouldn't have had a lot of the bells and whistles like tactics and stuff like that. Let's see. Chaos Raptors. Dear Lord, that trim. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Agent Venom. Nice. Painting an avatar of Kane. That's sweet. Been slowly building a starter box for Wadroon. Almost done with the 12 slingers. Also have a box of riders built. Nice. These are great. Well, you know, RIP to our Chaos Raptor painter with all the trim, but the rest of us have very reasonable projects. I'm just playing with you. I did Chaos Space Marines a few times for 40k. What with my incessant need to sell armies as soon as I finish painting them. Let's see. Wolf. Hi, Doug. I just left a question on the newest Emperor Protects podcast. You know, I'm more than happy to pull that up. It'll take me a bit. Or if you'd like, you can just re-ask it here, copy paste, and I'll answer you in real time. You know, with the information I have, I don't know. It depends on what you're asking. But yes, always happy to talk heresy. Okay, sorry, just had to get the details done. Quick question for Doug and Dan. So technically, does Slaanesh have 2 Primarch souls, Fulgrim and Ferris's? Because Ferris was killed by a Slaanesh demon blade. That's an interesting question. I do not know. I mean, it said it glowed after he got killed, so I suppose it could be he absorbed Ferris's soul and ate him, or it could just be that, like, it was relishing in the act of betrayal, and you know, there's not much to look into with that as far as Ferris Manus goes. Only Fulgrim. Let me know your thoughts. I guess I never really read it that way, but I also don't have anything to be like, no, you know, I don't have a. There's no way to tell where Ferris's soul is. But wherever he is, he deserves to be there because his flesh was weak. For these fellas, I could never sell them. The pain caused in painting them. That's fair. That's fair. I enjoy the project side of things, and so I understand that not everyone shares my form of madness. But it actually helped me get into the hobby because it made things more accessible. I would go to War Machine and Hordes nights here, and people would see my painted stuff and they'd be like, "Oh crap, will you paint my stuff? It looks," I mean, it wasn't amazing when I first started, but it was a 3-color minimum, and a lot of the War Machine Horde guys didn't want to do anything like that. So I would just point at the wall and I'd be like, "Buy me those models. Hold on to them." Like, we would buy them together, and then he would hold on to his onto the models that he bought from me. And I would paint up his stuff, hand it back to him, trade back for the models, and boom. And it was very efficient when I was in college. I mean, plus it was just fun, right? Hanging out with people, kind of establishing yourself in a little local community. It was a good time. Oh, hey, Wargamer Willie, man, it's been a bit. Hey. I'm not into the heresy as much, but listen to all your guys' podcast episode. Thank you so much. That is the intention, and I will pass that on to Dan. I'll make his day. The idea was, it's a Horus Heresy podcast for people who aren't into heresy, but are kind of curious about the story, or maybe some of the books, or maybe you love the heresy, but only your faction's part of it. So you just kind of want the Cliff Notes on everything else. We are the Cliff Notes podcast. Do you have anything on you? Not really. Good. Just laying in some random blue color. Doesn't have to be precise because we're going to paint over all of that anyway. I don't think it matters if Slaanesh has 2 souls. I just thought it was interesting that one of the 4 gods, the newest and most hated god, has 2. Oh, it's an interesting point. Yeah, it would absolutely be interesting. Andrew, Ferrus Manus would have been fine if he had kept his head during battle. Ayo! Because of the beheading. Sounds like the worst kind of hell, because of the beheading. Family Guy, anyone? Blue Harvest? I'm done. I'll see myself out. Okay, next we have... What's our next color? Wolflon and Celestra. We're going to do some white. I got the feeling that the Warm Hordes community was much less focused on the hobby side than other miniatures games. Of course, that might have just been the focus of my local group. Oh, no. No. You are incredibly accurate. That has been my experience everywhere. You read, they had No Quarter magazine. They had a few things. And I never got the sense that the miniature hobby, right? Just whatever you do with miniatures was really... There are a few people who made incredible pieces of art because they do have some really cool designs. I love some of the Privateer Press stuff. But I feel like as a company, that was not nearly what they incentivized. They were like, "Oh, you play Magic the Gathering? So you understand the word combos? I have combos for days, my friend." And at this point now, they exist only in my memories, and sometimes when the guy who owns the company, Will, is trying to peddle the last bits of his inventory on Facebook. I mean, I know they're still technically around, but all I see is like fire sale, the last of the infantry gunners or something. And I'm like, who's buying these? I mean, don't get me wrong. When they started going downhill and stores started dumping their stock, I went out. I have a whole box of like objective markers and tokens and all kinds of stuff, just because I some of their products are really great quality for wargaming in general. I think the tokens are an amazing set. This was painted, but it wasn't supposed to be. But I don't celebrate the fall of other companies because, well, there's a lot that goes into everything. Forgive me, I'm just getting these tiny little details here, just trying to add a little base color. Yep, just memories. Exactly. That should absolutely be the catchphrase of Privateer Press now. Leave only footprints. I think anyone who gets into the horse heresy and finds that podcast gold mine, especially for future. Aw, thank you. Yeah, you know, one of the things I was actually just telling my wife this. I feel like our education system here in the States, at least when I was a kid, it doesn't incentivize you to find what makes you unique and is your unfair advantage. But the older I get, the more I realize that the ability to explain things to like a new person, to anything, whether it's a business, an office, a hobby, whatever, like being able to do it succinctly in a non-rambly way that conveys information and educates people and engages them is like a superpower. Just being a teacher, but like what it means to be a teacher is different than what I thought it was when I was a kid. If that rambling monologue makes any sense. All I'm saying is the point of the show is that anyone who's never heard of the Horus Heresy can jump right in. If they're like, hey, I saw a trailer for this cool box set game that was on sale. What are these books? Oh my god, there's 60 of them? That's terrifying and very overwhelming, and probably why Games Workshop is going to sunset the game at some point. That's okay. I'll catch them on the flip side when I'm 40 and I start having nostalgia memories about playing Horus Heresy and they re-release it for old fans, quote unquote, like they do with Blood Bowl. You know that game that you guys never stopped playing? Here's a new edition. You're like, we were fine, bro. We were just like over here chilling and didn't need you. Turns out. Hey, good soul. Hey, what's up, Spezia? I will open this up if anyone has anything they'd like to talk about. New releases or games. Really from anything. I don't care. I'm never somebody who cares. Drop it in the chat. Let's chat about it. I didn't really have much of a a topic or anything planned for today. I was really just looking to do some hobby, and I was like, I might as well just flick the camera on. Are you going to cover the Siege of Terra? As far as I know, that book series is still coming out. So, yes, but to my understanding, not anytime soon. Like, me and Dan are still trying to do the base groundwork for most of the legions. Even with all the books we've covered, we still haven't talked about White Scars or Iron Warriors or, and when we did our episode 0, we talked about, like, what moments of the heresy do we want to explore. So there's episodes that don't have a like an actual book necessarily, like a singular book associated with them, but more just events. So I really want to do Istvan 5, which we haven't talked about in detail yet, but yeah, because like I have some of those older what do you call them? Like the big black books that have like all the different Horus Heresy battle plans to represent the original ones. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm rambling so much, but essentially with that, it details like literally the movements of where everybody went the entire time and all these things. And so it's very cool. It's just a lot to try and take in. Okay, so I did the awesome thing of pulling up the models on the website so I can actually see what color everything should be. You know how sometimes when you look at a model, it's primed and you're like, I can't quite tell if that's part of the boot or like a legging underneath or what. It's that kind of thing. And I'm doing a slightly off studio scheme. Same basic colors. But I think the way that they applied them to some of the outfits, I'm just like, what? Lord of all ducks, hey, hey! Oh, I'm sorry, I missed some questions here. Imagine if they expanded the narrative even further into the Great Crusade. It would be quite nice to use my Horus Heresy rules against my friends' orcs. I would love that. I think that that is where it should go. Like, because all you'd have to do is introduce, a Xeno book, and they're all meant to be balanced against one faction. Spesmarins. So, like, yeah. I mean, Olenor is one of the most important moments in the Imperium's history. You'd think there'd be something to do to recreate it. I'm actually pretty good with that. I'm just strengthening our Celester Gray. I use it as a nice base color to paint white, because it takes to a thin Nuln oil wash very, very well. Andrew, what's a good point value to start with Conquest? Andrew, that's a great question. It depends. Are you talking about the army battle game where it's like rank and flank, or do you mean like the First Blood smaller version? If you're doing First Blood, I think 400 points is pretty good, at least to learn the mechanics of the thing. If you're doing the full game where you're on rank and flank, I highly recommend 1,000, because at 1,000 points you can actually have points to like upgrade your heroes and that kind of stuff, and they can start being more meaningful on the table, which is a thing that I don't think they quite are at lower point values. I mean, either they're steamrollers like the Lord on Steed who can crash in with his boys and just wreck everybody, or they do woefully little. There's not a whole lot of in between with heroes that are not buffed. But then again, you can do like a Dweg Home Lord that's normally pretty puny, and then you can kit bash him into being like a Ren 3 Mega God. I am just making an Uber wash with some Colia green shade. For a sickly boy here. Gotta get those creepy greens and blues in, right? And then I'm gonna highlight all the top parts with, I think it's like Deepkin Flesh or whatever. Whatever the Deepkin skin colors are, I can't remember. They're Ironac Flesh, some one of those. Okay, there is our sick boy. Have you no wolves? I don't think I understand. I'd recommend starting Conquest with the full 800 points of First Blood. Even then, it's low enough model/unit count that you can follow it. That's true. That's true. I guess when I think about the reason I suggested 400 points, like gameplay-wise, the difference between 400 and 800 is pretty negligible. I mean, you're really taking maybe 2 to 3 more units, but beyond that, you're adding officers and just kind of fleshing out the ones you have. So I do think Warpsmith Adam has a great point. The thing that makes me want to suggest 400 is specifically if you're talking to people who have never played a miniature game before. So I should probably clarify that, but I'm talking like reading rules and knowing what a D6 is and all those kinds of things. Space Wolf. Hello, Space Wolves? Question mark? I have nothing for Space Wolves. I don't like the Space Wolves. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I don't like it, and part of it is just Games Workshop's naming conventions are terrible. It's just when you make everything Wolf Fang or whatever, you know, don't be surprised when you become the butt of every joke on the internet. I stopped going on to 40k groups a long time ago because it got to a point where the only things that would show up online for me were like jokes about people who play Dark Angels being traitors without acknowledging what the actual post was about, and Space Wolf jokes and dog puns. I was like, you know what? There's better dad jokes out there. I'm gonna go find them. Okay. Oh, in that case, you're 100% correct. Start as small as you can. No, no, no. There's no wrong way. You know, it's just a matter of what you think the person you're giving a demo is up for. $400's also a fun demo size at like cons and stuff because you just bang them out. You just like play for 20 minutes. Next. A quest for better dad jokes, exactly. Don't you want your Space Wolves Wolf Lord, whose wolf's down his wolf-themed wolf facts with his wolf around? Yes. Don't you want a dystopian hellscape bobsled team pulled by a pack of wolves? Let's see. I love your AOS vids. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm taking a little break from AOS right now just to kind of clear my head, but we'll get back to it eventually, and that kind of stuff really does mean a lot to me. Let's see. Lord of All Ducks, Space Wolves anthologies by William King were some of my first 40k novels. Same, actually. Yeah, actually, so my first 40k books, my introduction to, I was gonna say the lore, but really Black Library, because I had the models when I was painting around as a kid, but like, was first one was the Grey Knight Omnibus, and then then it went to the OG Space Wolf series. And they were both great. I don't want to go back and read them because I don't want to like ruin my precious nostalgia memories of them. But I distinctly remember, like, you know, as a kid, just being like, this is really exciting. It's like a space opera, Mom. You wouldn't understand. Seems like GW has halted the brakes on their AOS story going forward. They have. And that's, you know, on this channel, I talk about things that make me happy. And it's been a bit since something for AOS has come out that I've been like, yes, this adds value to the game. This makes things better. And I just got a little burnt out. Just need to take a step back. I found the quality to quantity ratio for stuff they put out is just not my cup of tea. Like 3rd edition books that are just reprints of the 2nd edition one with some new narrative rules that only a portion of the people use, that kind of stuff. I'm like, we had such a good rush of lore up until Gur. I agree. I really enjoyed the Broken Realms series. I thought it was awesome. But, I mean, I wonder how much that took in terms of resources and what the return they saw was. Praise Sotek. Oh, Nicholas, thank you so much, buddy. Hello, I never get to use your affiliate link, so here's a bit of a contribution. Thank you for the entertaining lore. You have absolutely got it, my friend. What kind of games do you like? I can chat about those. But I deeply appreciate it. Whenever anyone throws a tip in the tip jar here, they always get to choose the next topic, so what do you want to hear about, buddy? Let's chat. something on there. Oh, I missed something here. What is your favorite AOS faction? Okay. Lore-wise, it is probably Flesh Eater Courts, even though I've never actually played them. It's just the times where I had the opportunity, I just was not in the mood for a Horde faction, you know? And you have to be like a committer. That's a lot of dudes, and they die in droves. Certainly right now in terms of gameplay, I love my Bone Splitters because they are, without question, the easiest faction to play in all of Age of Sigmar right now. And that is simply because their cards have the least amount of text. They're terrible. They're terrible. I mean, they keep trying to help them with like the various like cycle updates they go through and that kind of thing. But the issue for me is that adding more rules just kind of compounds the problem and moves me further away from what I like about the faction, which is how simple they are. If I have to cite 4 different GHB rules, I'm like, I don't really care anymore. What are we doing here? If they were meant to be good at anything, then it should have been printed in the book. Now, good day, sir. I will take my mediocre army, and I shall see you on the bottom table. Harumph. By the way, that's how I'm going to end every single game at Adepticon this year. What am I painting? These are minis for a game called Carnival. It is by TT Combat out of the UK, and it is essentially think about a much more accessible and affordable version of Necromunda or Mordheim, set in an alternate history kind of thing with like Cthulhu monsters. That's kind of the vibe. Like a weird history type thing. Which those are the kind of games that I'm into. I really wanted to do more with Wild West Exodus, but War Cradle was not the easiest to work with, unfortunately. But they're just really focused on one game right now, the Dystopian Wars, so they weren't really interested when I wasn't talking about that. But they were nice. So don't add them. Let's see, what do I need? Okay, I need to start painting this girl's shirt and pants. Let's grab a deep blue. Oh, or I could drop it. Throw it across the room. That's always an option. There's some rumors that we'll see Cities of Sigmar at Adepticon. I'd sure be happy if that's true. That would be very neat. Hopefully, I mean, I'll be honest, for those of us talking about AOS, I'll talk to you guys directly. I'm like really hoping that Adepticon re-energizes my battery for Games Workshop games. Right now, the only thing that I have an interest in is possibly Necromunda and then Horus Heresy, because those get so fewer releases, and their releases seem so much more meaningful. Like a whole new faction for Necromunda is 1 box of models, usually, or 2 if they have an expansion, and a book. And it's like amazing. And then for AOS, I realized since the last time I played AOS, my buddy Rob and I were chatting about this, there's been 3 GHBs. And it's just like, I don't know. And then I think about all the Deepkin players who are already $150 in the hole. Not Deepkin, Lumineth players who are already $150 in the hole, and all they did was buy 3 books that just keep getting outsourced. I don't know. But the point is, I'm really hoping that by going there and seeing cool tables and cool models and hanging out with fans, that it'll spark my fire. So, I don't know. Here's hoping. Let's see. I'm going to eat with the fam just a few, but I got the Carnival starter set recently, so carry on. Okay, sweet. I love it. Average Irish dude, what's a good AOS book for new readers to AOS books? I heard Soul Wars is good. Soul Wars is very good. It is a very cool book. I will say it is dense. Because he is trying to show you what Nagash did and how it affects everybody. Oh no, I already did that color. Why am I getting more? It shows you how the Necroquake affects everybody. Now, personally, what I recommend people read is Dominion by Darius Hinks. It's the most recent book for kind of like the intro set or whatever. And the reason I like Dominion is because it doesn't just set up, the villains and Stormcast, which is what those books do, including Soul Wars. You get a box set and you need to have some context for the models in, and this book gives you that kind of a thing. But the reason I like Dominion is, first of all, it's more current. You'll be pretty much caught up. You'll know all about the cities of Sigmar trying to go out there and build stuff, and you'll see some of the pitfalls of them. It raises a lot of interesting questions about the church that I'm really hoping that, Cities of Sigmar 2, Dawnbringer, whatever we're calling it, I don't know what their name's going to be. I hope that book addresses it. It seems like flagellants aren't going anywhere. They mentioned a few times in their previews like religious sects and that kind of thing, so I have to imagine they're going to be around still. I actually kind of like her brown shirt. I'm going to just build on that brown. But so as far as like introduction, if you want to start reading AOS books, I really do recommend Dominion. If you're just looking for fun one-off books that are like, what's a story that's set in this place kind of a thing, I am going to have to second Lord of All Ducks. I freaking loved Gloomspite. It is on the horror side of what Games Workshop does, because there's some real creepy stuff in there, but man, is it a good book. Yeah, it was a page turner for me. Nagash, Undying King is also, longtime viewers will know, a book that I have raved about, especially if you are looking to get into any Rural Death faction. It's kind of not an origin story for Nagash by any stretch, but like when he reawakens in the mortal realms in the Age of Sigmar. So like when the story is happening, at some point they pick up Nagash, and yeah, it's a cool thing. Okay, got that. Now I'm just going through and picking out kind of like random pieces of cloth, just kind of throwing some color on them so that it looks like I highlighted them intentionally, but I'm just kind of throwing color over the primer. Friends, that's, if you're watching this, the key to success in life is to make it look like you did way more work than you actually did. Come to me with other advice. Other life tips from your favorite YouTuber. Morning! What's up, Robin? But honestly, I would read books about the factions you like. That's a fantastic piece of advice. It really does matter what you go to the lore for. Like if you're looking to learn more about the world, I can recommend some books. If you're looking to learn more about a faction, that's when recommendations get a little bit more specific, and unfortunately I have not read every single one of their books. You know, I mean, fortunately for my bank account. I'm going to throw in a little inconsistent color here, just so when we do the wash, it has little variations to it. We can add some lighter and deeper browns from there. I agree, Doug. Oh, hey, Warren. Sorry, I didn't say hi first. I agree, Doug. I feel GW aren't putting enough behind AOS. The models are amazing. Gloomspite Gits are stunning, but I feel they aren't giving AOS as much lore compared to 40k. I understand that 40k has a huge backstory, but the fact that they're bringing back the old world makes me feel like they're ready to start pushing AOS out the door. I doubt it will be as well, because there's a whole market for fantasy games that are looking for something that's not old world, you know, and for better or worse, I feel like Games Workshop's done a pretty good job of proving that they can use their properties in a lot of different ways. For example, Cursed City set in Age of Sigmar, but it is a very almost old worldy kind of feeling game kind of deal. Like they can do that in perpetuity in AOS. Here we go. Sorry, I was looking away from the camera, I realized. I don't think they're going to be put out in any way. I think that they likely, as all things will be affected by a release cycle change. But to be honest, having the spotlight off of AOS more and more might actually help my interest in it. Like I said, my big thing right now is I just don't feel like the value is there for a lot of the books. Sweet. Okay, I'm gonna wait for these three to dry. Then we'll throw our wash, a very thin wash on. But in the meantime, we're gonna hang out with Cthulhu Joe is what I meant to say. Let's see, Celestra, Deepkin Flesh. That's what I was trying to name earlier, and I just could not figure it out. Let's see. I see it more like GW has earned an absolute ton of revenue over the last few years, and they're expanding now that Warhammer Total War games were so successful. Part of it, yes. And a large part of that is just getting their intellectual property out there to people. But they had the same success with Dawn of War and 40k back in, like, I don't know, the mid-thousands. And so, you know, it's... They don't lack for ways to succeed. They lack for ways to keep succeeding. Because they'll find an idea, and you're like, hey, that's a great idea, we love it. And then they'll over-market it to death, and then everyone's like, actually, we're kind of good. We're too intense. Just throw it in. I want to make him like dead fish pale. I kind of think of him as being like a deep one from Lovecraft lore. So I want him to have certain fish qualitas. Very happy that Old World won't be Forge World exclusive. Agreed. Hello there. Can't wait to hit those guys with the bladed ore. Yeah, Pyromancer is who I'm playing some Carnival with tomorrow. I'll be having some pictures online. I'm going to be putting together a video as requested by someone in the comments of a Carnival video of like, you know, more than just lore. Why should I play the game from a gameplay perspective? Like what's unique about it? And so I'm going to compile some thoughts tomorrow. Pyro, if you would like to do the same as we're playing it, just think of things that are like, hey, that was kind of cool, or that was kind of crummy. Let's see. Viridian Forge, hey buddy. Hey Doug, what are you painting? These are for the game Carnival. I think I just said that by accident, but yeah, it's essentially a think a weird history skirmish game set in Venice. I've been talking about it a bit on the channel here. Some of my more recent videos are about it, but TT Combat, who makes the game, reached out to me like a while ago to talk about it, and at the time I couldn't find anyone interested locally. Like this is when I first basically moved back to Iowa, so it's been a bit. But I couldn't find anyone, so I was like, hey, you know, I'll pass. You know, thanks for the offer. Like I said, I despite what I'm accused of online, I only talk about things that I like, and if I can't play it, I can't like it. So, you know, I said, no, thanks, I'm good, and moved along, and then Pyro here was like, have you heard about this? And I was like, okay, so let's take a second look. And then immediately I was like, I need to play this game. Because it has cosmic horror and all kinds of creepy stuff that I love. And some incredible models. Warren, do you recommend Warcry as a game? I'm looking to get a boxed game, and it's between Warcry and the latest Underworlds. If you are looking for a game, please pick Underworlds over... please pick Warcry over Underworlds. Get that right. So, the reason I say that is because Underworlds has undergone so many massive changes in, like, the structure and how decks perform and, like, how things are judged. And I don't know. I just... There's a lot of moving pieces, and Warcry is great because you can just sit down and play, and there's nothing complicated about it, and I love it. I can definitely recommend some non-GW games if that's something you're interested in as well, but yeah, I think between those two options, Warcry is definitely the stronger one. I think War Master Reboot would be better than... Yeah, I agree. Andrew, see, I agree with that, and that's why, like... When people talk about like the old world coming back and they get excited, I'm so happy for people who are excited. No joke. I really am, because I want everyone to get what they want. Kinda. You know, whatever they think is cool. But the thing with the old world is I just always felt like Total War conveyed what we are supposed to be representing on the table so much better than anything a models company could do. Just the scale of it all. I'm a sucker for. And so when people were talking about, oh my god, they're bringing the old world back, I'm like, but why not? Why didn't they just bring back like Mordheim and then a huge lore dump for the old world and just let us keep playing Total War? I mean, you can, of course, obviously, but you know what I mean? It just struck me as odd of like, but that's like a better way to do this. Let's see. Difference between Warcry is that Warcry is more like a typical skirmish game. Age of Sigmar under. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Just put the finishing touches on Dystopian Wars job. Sweet. Robin, have you played that game? There we go. Just need to thin it out a bit. No, it's a job. Okay. I agree, though, Vernie Forge. I think War Master, if that came back, like, when they first announced it, I was really hoping it was War Master, I'll be honest, but that was a big no real quick. Let's see. I do wish Warcry had more stuff from Mordheim. Agreed. I'm hoping that, along with the old world, we get a Mordheim reboot. I would really like that. I would get into that. I don't have any current plans to get into old world, although, you know, famous words by Doug before he immediately cannonballs into a game. So take that with a grain of salt. But I just don't have the same attachment to the old world that so many folks do, and that's fine. Doesn't need to be for me. Forgive me, guys. I'm just getting the details on the hands, and I don't want to mess it up too bad. He's looking pretty fish-man-y. I like it. I'm just going to go do some highlights on all his little barnacle bits. Gotta get your barnacle bits. Okay. I doubt that became the Vanguard in Vienna. Sweet. Recently, thanks to your Conquest videos, I'm sending your code towards all the new players recruited around here. Aw, boo. Dude, thank you so much. That is so kind of you. That really means the world to me. I did all wind up playing the old world, but I'm stoked for the new miniatures. For possible kit bashing opportunities. Oh yeah, like can you imagine how cool Cities of Sigmar could be if they started adding like new but classic Empire looking minis? Oh yeah. Fish money, yes. If I did ships, there is a large local following for Kings of War Armada. Nice. Okay. Not much in the way of naval gamers near me. But I'm also, in Iowa. So these are not necessarily folks who have personally felt the sea's embrace. Sounds like a statement right up there with no plans to sell this army. Exactly. This guy gets it. He gets the scheme. I had someone leave a comment that was like, "Doug, listen, I want to keep watching your channel, but I got to be honest, the rate at which you sell armies causes me anxiety." I was like, I just messaged him back and I was like, "Oh, buddy, don't you worry. Don't worry, I'm not changing." As my wife can attest, I don't learn lessons. Rob from Countercharge. Countercharge sounds familiar. What is that? I'm pretty sure it's a podcast, but for what? Oh, cool. Countercharge, Rank and Flank's Kings of War. Okay, cool. If you think him selling is bad, you don't want to see me trade. Yeah, most of the time I do trade. Oh, here we go. I got a donation. Average Irish dude. Thank you so much. £5 in the pot. Doing a homebrew Pirate Cruel Boys and Greek sea-themed Stormcast like the Argonauts, and both are rivals. What do you think of my homebrew factions? I love them. Pirate Cruel Boys is sweet. I could definitely see them like... There was some story about Cruel Boys like loading up a whole bunch of toxins in a tiny boat, and they couldn't get into the city like from the outside, so they like boated in through the sewer and then unleashed a poison that drove everybody crazy from the inside. Like, I imagine just rolling through Venice, just like everyone around you absolutely going insane. They did one of those. You could definitely bring something like that in. I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on the Orc Cruel Boys because orcs kind of do whatever you want them to do, and pirates are awesome in any context. Never mind if you add the word orc to it. But what I can say is that I adore the idea of the Stormcast Argonauts. I'm just picking at a few places that I distorted a bit with the wash. Gotta strengthen the color of these Zoidberg tentacles. Gotta make that belly a bit rounder. You know, sometimes it's important that you see yourself in your art. Now he is, I will say, almost done. I'm going to do some funny stuff with his eyes when it comes to some Turbo Dork color shift paints. But he's mostly done, because there's not a lot to him. He's just a naked fish man, so, you know, kind of speaks for itself. You know, a tale as old as time, a naked fish man walking around the city. But actually, I'm going to keep focusing on him, because those guys have washes. So I'm going to make his barnacles extra nasty for us. Pirate Cruel Boy sound amazing. Agreed. Yeah, like, I think it's awesome. Captain Jax Braca. I like it. I love the idea. Some cool Spartan-like helmets and shields. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's Puppets War, I think is the site that I'm thinking of. They have some great Stormcast bits. And they have, like, yeah, those kind of, like, hoplite helms. Now I'm thinking he has these kind of like fin things on his back. I'm thinking of like a dark teal for those, like something, I don't know. Maybe not. I don't want him to be have too many colors on him. But I will throw some crimson under his eyes to make him look tired and miserable. As we all are in the year of our Lord 2023. Let's see. My Cruel Boys clan is called the Greedy Mercs. They're like the Blood Axes from 40k. Oh yeah, that's awesome. I love the idea of orc mercenaries. Full stop. I think they're great. Okay, let's do some shenanigans on our fish boy here. We got some Nurgle's Rot. We're going to make this tentacle boy gross. We got... Let's do some contrast. Let's grab a different color, and we're going to go over that with a thinned out color. I think Ethermatic Blue Fishmanny in the City. This fall, watch the show that everyone's been raving about. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is the incredible Mr. Limpet reboot we need. But he has to talk like Don Knotts, and I think I might do that the entire game tomorrow. Sorry, Pyro. Whoa! We gotta start the ancient ritual. You're like, shut up, Barney. Whoa! That's how Don Knotts sounds to me, perpetually. Sorry if that offends. I think it's fair to say that's how Don Knotts sounds to everyone a little bit. Oh yeah, that's a gross boy. I love Ethermatic Blue because it's the perfect glaze. Straight out of the pot. Sorry. We gotta stop the ritual to stop the elder beast from rising. Cthulhu demands it. Oh yeah, he's a gross boy. Got some barf coming up out of there. just going to throw a tiny bit on some of the bigger thing, a little pox bubbles. Oh, yeah. It's all coming together. Oh, sorry. Knocked my mic over. Happens a lot. Okay, we got that. And for my last... Let's see... We're going to take some blue steel from Turbo Dork. Thing about Turbo Dork paints, I love them to death, but man, you better shake this thing for as long as you want this model. You really got to break up the little bits of reflective material. My Stormcast are the Nauticon, and they are a naval force. I will say, average Irish dude, highly compel you to say naval with an AL instead of an EL, because EL is the belly button. Defenders of the navel. I was just kidding with you. I'm really not a spelling correct kind of guy. I just thought that was funny. Naval is a specific word, you know? It's like one of those things, it's like... How many people actually say naval with the intention of talking about the belly button? There we go. Okay. At first it was a bit much, and I was like, actually, I don't want to just glob it out. I'm going to have some kind of thing. Add some Zoidberg scuttling and I'm out. Oh, I would love to do Zoidberg scuttling. No one scuttles like Zoidberg. Actually, I think I can use this here. Yeah. I'm picking out. She has bandages all around her head, so I'm just kind of do the hard task of trying not to paint over all the different little wrapping layers, but instead trace them. Like I told you, the secret is to make everything look like you tried way harder at it than you did. My Zoidbergers and my Gene Stealer cults. Turbo Dork is so good. Through an airbrush, I can never seem to get them good brushed on. I've done it, but it has to be like a metric ton of small layers. Or thin layers, I mean. I did a thing of Stormcast that have like the butt half of their Paladors like ebbing through space or the warp or whatever they do, riding the winds etheric. And yeah, I maybe did 14 layers of Turbo Dork just ever so lightly around every single crack and crevice. Chica here is coming together. Let's see. Average Irish dude. The leader of my stormcast was cursed to have black storm that shoots lightning and kills everything around him. Oh, that's awesome. Jason of the Allstorm. Oh, yeah, because you want the Argonauts. Yep, that makes sense. She's got like her legs all bandaged up too. Just kind of doing... I'm painting in consummate V's, which is an old internet throwback if anyone gets that one. But basically trying to match the pattern on her outfit. Thinking of calling my leader Jason the Black Storm. Yeah, I like this. Black Storm is an awesome last name. Or name, title, whatever. Guy has quite the festivities mask on, so I have to go over that with gold, I think. Sweet. Okay, so we got that much done. I'm going to start rebuilding up some of those older colors. Let's see. It's basically a little bit of my homebrew lore. No, I love it, dude. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. I know it is sometimes awkward to share stuff publicly. I don't feel like I ever came up with like a really good lore story. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like I came up with anything original for my factions. I like playing sub-factions as they're written in the book, but like I like playing things that already exist, but specifically in the way that they are intended to be played. So like, if it says this type of orc favors range, I'm gonna, load up on some shooting, that kind of stuff. Do what it says. Thinking of writing a book, seeing if Black Library will pick it up. Well, you should definitely write something, because Black Library does do like open submissions where you can pick a story from the Mortal Realms. Basically, they just have you open submit stuff. And they do quite a bit of those. I don't remember the last time they did one though, but I feel like it was fairly recent. Might not be. Okay. And again, I'm just kind of patching up some of the blue. Some of the got a little wild on some of the other colors. My Stormcast Eternals are Celestial Vindicators based in Chamon, of course. Swords, if given their choice. Names from characters from Terry Good King's Sword of Truth novels. I love that stuff. Exactly. I like this book. I want to redo these characters in my own thing. Heck yeah. feel like I have decent homebrew lore for my Space Marine specifically, but I never feel like I can never come up with a good story. Yeah, like I feel like I have a lot of novel ideas, but an idea is not a story, right? Like a tale of how those characters, you know, what they evolve into and how they change over time. Like there's a difference between an idea and a story. And I feel like I always fall towards the tedium of having an idea and not an actual narrative. I love having a backstory of armies before I start hobbying on them, so I love your approach to Stormcast Army. 10 out of 10 would agree. Yes, I especially love when, I saw this a lot at Holy Havoc, when someone's story plays on the table. So for example, like I went to Holy Havoc, it's a big narrative event over in Illinois. And Steve Herner runs it, and it's an amazing time. If you ever get the chance to go, please go. It'll make your life better. And but one of the things he encourages is like people will come up to the table, and their army will have a whole bunch of like stories with them, and then you can actually look at the characters on the table and be like, this is this guy from this book. I'm like, oh, I love that stuff. Heck yes. Really, the whole point of this stream is to rub it in Pyromancer's face that I too can paint fast. I gave him the other half of this starter set. He had the gall to paint those models before me. Can you believe that? He was like, what? Oh, this Carnival stuff? And just cranks it out. And I'm like, you son of a... I built half of my identity. It's just based upon being the fastest painter I know. One sec, I'm just looking for a flesh tone. Right, because it's like, who am I if I can't smugly say, I could paint 2 armies in the time it takes for you to do that? I'm just going to spin this around, give myself some new spaces to work. Am I looking to read the new Gloomspite novel? No, I'm kind of taking a little bit of a break from G-dubs for the moment. So I haven't really kept up with any of their releases, but maybe at some point in the future. Just a sec here, getting the tiniest of details here with the skin. I want an Iron Warriors army based on Storm of Iron. I don't think I have read Storm of Iron yet, but I have heard great things. Let's see. To be fair, he was painting an army of Wadroon while I did that half of the Carnival. Yes, that's true. I mean, you know. I'm not disappointed in my painting. Speed by any stretch. Yeah, no, this is a nice little welcome break. I am doing the Wadroon for the Conquest Paint Along League, but I reached a good point, like right in between milestones, where it's like, okay, everything's built and primed, and this milestone is going to be a lot easier than the last one because there's far less infantry, so I can take a little Carnival break. And then we got here. Okay, nice. Skaven are violent, violet vermin horde. Average Irish dude, I hate what Major Kill said about you. Oh, I'd love to know what he said. I watched some of his stuff, but you're not going to offend me, and I'm not going to shoot the messenger. I'm very curious. Was it just because I like AOS? I know that he is not the biggest fan of it. But also, I also understand, so this is an important thing. I also understand that what people say on the internet is not the same thing as that person saying it. Because he doesn't know me and I don't know him, but I'm open to any and all feedback. He said in his most recent AOS video that you had a dead channel. Yeah. I don't blame him. It was a very difficult year for me. And I did let the channel go. I'm not even going to defend that. But hey, it's nice to be noticed. He's probably messing. Oh, I mean, I took no offense to that. I did back away for a while. There's nothing offensive about that one bit. This is the first time in a long time that I've had a video just about every day of the week, and it's been months since that happened. I just very much fell out of love with AOS, and everything else just kind of trickled down from there, and I wasn't taking regular enough breaks to prevent burnout, so that kind of stuff happens. But I'm getting back into it. The swing of things, that is. Jade highlight. So hard to tell what's serious and what's not. Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing. You said the second you said Major Kill, I was like, I am not prepared to be offended by anything that you say next. Like with the exception of a YouTuber like trying to insult like my wife or something, I cannot fathom something that would actually drive me to anger. It's like for a hot second, everyone thought I hated Rob Symes. It's like, I don't hate Rob Symes. I don't know Rob Symes. Can't hate him. I don't know. Because we are not the content we produce. Trying to thin out some paint here to do some nice thin layers that blend out real nice. Let's see. Love the Fulgrim review. Oh, thank you so much, Catherine Animations. Hey, how's it going? Hey, I just saw your message on Instagram. Thank you very much for the kind support. It's going real well. We're just hanging out, chatting, wasting time, painting some miniatures for Carnival. Okay, let's see. Just picking out some sharp details here. Sorry about the silence. Just adding a little definition here to our hood. Sweet. Can't talk when you're holding your mouth, just to get the detail correctly. Exactly. Okay, we got to see it here. Photo review. Love me some Lovecraft stuff, right? It's awesome. Average Irish dude. Is the Beastmen lore any good in AOS? Yes and no. It depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for definitive hard information about the origin of the species or whatever like that, no. But the reason I like it for AOS is because it gives you a few different ideas of how the Beastman came about by, like, this is what the Hessian scholars think or whatever. But it doesn't ever confirm anything. And I like that because it does leave a lot of room for us to do whatever we want to do. So I always always like that. It's like, hey, thanks for giving me some room. But also thanks for not doing the classic GW thing of like, where are they from? They're mysterious. Right, but if you want me to buy these models, I need to know a little bit about them. The mysterious. And you're like, okay, cool, neat. That's how I feel like they are with Alpha Legion when it comes to Horus Heresy stuff. Hey, are there any background to these guys? Secrets. Like, right. Well, like, I need to know how to paint them or, like, what they've done. Secrets. So, anyway, I think that they do a pretty good job of making them both have a mysterious past while also giving you some information that you can actually, like, you know, get excited about them. Other armies have better Beastman models than... Yes, exactly. 40k had the best Beastman for a while with the dude from Blackstone Fortress. I think... Oh, no, maybe he's a Necromunda gun for hire. Isn't there a bounty hunter Beastman? Maybe I'm misremembering that. I thought one of them had it, but I might be mistaken. Okay, ultra fine detail time on this guy's face. Nice. You know, forgive me for tooting my own horn, but I am liking the way that these guys are turning out. His mask is baller. Let's see, I think she has some details on hers, but she also has a face that's like 5 times smaller. That's about the best I can do there. And we just need to get her eye. Now, I want... So, this, she's kind of like a wretch that's kind of pulled in with the group. But I'm curious, what color should her white eye be glowing? Should I do it the same kind of like Colia green shade as Fish Boy? Fish McMahon? I'll let you guys decide. What color is her eye glowing? Because other than that, these guys are all done. That was a nice little break. I mean, I have to put them on the bases. I'm probably going to add some blood effects. Let's do that. Let's get the bases all ready. If you'll notice, with the exception of Fish McMahon, they're all on their bases, which I think would make some better hobbyists than me very happy. I like just a little bit of blood on each, just to make them kind of pop. Gotta remind people that they're dangerous, right? You can't have them thinking, oh, this is Fish McMahon. He's just a cool guy. He's just a cool fish guy. You know, sometimes when you see a cool fish guy, you're like, hey, fish guy. Filippo fish. Oh, I like that. Might make a Kit Bash Beastman one day. Oh, like as an army? Yeah, let's do... we'll grab my Ethermatic Blue again. I like that as a fun kind of glowing look. Oh yeah, that looks good. It's not going to show up with any meaningful detail for you guys, but it's a nice little soft glow that kind of matches him. All right, let's get these bad boys on. And then we can varnish them and do a rim around the base to seal it all in. Sorry, all the way around. Rim around the base and then seal them in. So what do I need? I need glue. And I just popped these guys onto some old green stuff that I had laying around and didn't mix, so it's just like 1/2 of the green stuff cocktail. Which means they pop right off, which is nice. I like this one for her. Makes her look like she's sitting in the puddle of blood with her knife right there. And then we have Lady McMurder. Gil Bates! I love it. See, people, these are ideas. Pushing everybody down. Sweet. Okay, so while that dries, let's grab the black. Oh snap, do I not own a black? Oh, here it is. I was like, do I not own black? Like one of the most basic colors. Gordon Weaver. That one I don't get. We could have... what? Phineas McFly, like fly fishing. Fins. And other such puns. You guys know. We're here for the puns. I'm going to dry them and put them up here. That's why I just crash landed my paint junk here. There we go. Okay. Some of the bases have little junk on them, like little bits from their sprue during manufacturing. Fish boy. I'm going to call him Brutus. He's like a mutated big guy. He's kind of out of scale and portion with everybody else. It's because he's supposed to be infused with the power of the ancients. Cthulhu's chosen champion. And with that, my warband for tomorrow is complete. And, oh man, I've been going on for 2 hours. I think it's time to grab some lunch, y'all. Friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me for another Zen Hobby podcast. And I will take some better pictures of these. I'll throw them up on the channel community tab here later in a bit, once the bases are dry and I can take pictures without getting everything gross. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I cannot wait to hang out with you again, and I will talk to you all very,